Hey everyone, Alodar here. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than other ones that I would have made in the past. This is meant more to be kind of a tale of my adventures up until all the way up until Classic WoW was announced, launched, and the adventures that I had through there. Taking us all the way to where we're at now, just 24 hours, well, a little over 24 hours from TBC officially going to be launched. So I thought I'd start it here, where it all began. It's where I started my first undead character. This is going to be more of a narrative video than anything else. Not going to be too much visual, so if you want to just put it on the background, you're more than welcome to. But I appreciate the view. Thank you very much. So, like I said, my tales, my adventures started here. I created an undead warlock was my main coming into Classic. So that's what I'd intended on playing. Many of you might not even know that actually, but I started off as an undead warlock. Like playing a warlock, and I'll get to why I changed to mage a little bit later. But I guess if I'm gonna tell my tale, we'll start right from the very beginning, and that means where I started playing WoW from. And I started playing WoW in beta actually. So before vanilla was even launched, I played beta for quite a little bit. It was actually several months before vanilla was launched, but played it with a bunch of my friends. I was the guild leader of a very large, well-known PvP guild at the time, and we were given a whole bunch of beta keys to test it out, and we played, and we really enjoyed a lot of things in the game, but PvP wasn't one of them. Actually, it was we looked at it as kind of a Care Bear game because you couldn't loot the corpses of people that you'd killed. We thought that was kind of stupid, but such were the times, way back then. Anyways, like many of you, I played Classic all the way through Vanilla, TBC, and really enjoyed those two versions of the game. Wrath of the Lich King I liked, but then towards the end, for some reason, I just started to lose interest in the game. I kept playing, and then I was hoping that Cataclysm would kind of right things. And I couldn't really pin exactly what it was that I didn't like towards the end of Wrath, but Cataclysm came out, and I played it for about 5 or 6 months, and I realized, okay, this just isn't what I was, this just isn't what I'm looking for. The game is just not entertaining for me anymore. So I, for the very first time, canceled my account during Cataclysm, and I moved on and started playing other games and stuff like that. But I'm strictly an MMO player. I don't really like playing games that are single player. And I bounced around from from one game to the next. And like many of you, I would come back for every expansion, try it for a couple of months, and then end up quitting again. It just wasn't holding my attention anymore. Eventually that led me to Googling private servers. I'd never really played one before, and I heard of this one called Nostalrius, and I decided to give her a go and loaded it up, figured out how to get it installed and to play it on my computer, and I was having a blast. I didn't know anyone in the game, but I was meeting people in the game, and it made me realize exactly what I was missing from retail, and that was that big sense of community, knowing that you had to rely on others to get things done. And I realized that the people that I'd met in vanilla, I'd met more people in vanilla than I'd met in all the rest of the expansions of World of Warcraft combined. And I mean met and become friends with and still kept in touch with. So I was starting to do the same thing in Nostalrius. Unfortunately, not very long after I started playing there, the server went down. It was DMCA'd by Blizzard, and Nostalrius decided to bring their server down, basically in the hopes that Blizzard was going to create a Classic server. Eventually, the next BlizzCon came and went, and they didn't talk anything about vanilla. People were getting really frustrated, and other private servers started to pop up. The first one being Elysium. and I started playing that. There was some drama there. Everybody moved from Elysium to Lights Hope and continued playing there, and I had an absolute blast. Like I remembered everything that I loved about the game had come back. I was really enjoying streaming it. My stream was doing really well. I was getting 200 to 300 people viewing at a time on my stream. I was just really loving everything about playing the game at that point. Anyways, then Classic was announced, and people were extraordinarily excited about that. I remember when Classic was announced, suddenly like every content creator in the world was creating videos and making videos and content and all their plans and when, you know, how long they thought it was going to be until Classic was launched, and, you know, them making videos about how Classic needed to be Classic, or, you know, would there be changes, all this other sort of stuff. And it was really kind of a very entertaining period at that point. We weren't actually playing the game we wanted to play, but it was exciting nonetheless. The downside, though, was because my stream was doing fairly well. I love streaming. Because my stream was doing so well, I was worried that my stream was going to be taken down by Twitch. And I had to make a really tough decision. There was a private server that came out called Northdale, and everybody was playing it. And people were shocked that I wasn't streaming. And I got message after message in game, hey, why aren't you streaming? Why aren't you streaming? And I'd secretly, you know, told a few people that I didn't think it was going to be a very good idea to be streaming that weekend. I thought Blizzard was going to be banning people or getting Twitch to ban people. And so I decided to take that weekend off. And sure enough, within the first few days, bans were handed out to people that were streaming the game. Several of them were very good friends of mine. So it wasn't long after that. I never actually ever streamed Northdale, but it wasn't long after that that I decided that I could not stream private servers going forward. And anyways, I made that tough choice. I talked to other streamers and asked them how they felt about it. A couple of them had already done it. One of the people I talked to was Esfond, and it was really tough. I made the decision, announced it on stream. I immediately got ridiculed for it. I got called a pussy, a loser. I got called all sorts of shit. Simply because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to stream Classic WoW when it came out. I didn't want my account to be permanently banned on Twitch. And so I kind of brushed it off, and that wasn't even the hard part. The hard part was me actually having to force myself to play BFA for streaming content. I don't like I said before, I don't like streaming. I don't like playing private or single player games, so that was out of the question. And the only MMO that I was really interested in playing was WoW, and I wasn't really enjoying that version of the game at all. But I forced myself to play it, including going through BFA and forcing myself to play Project 60s, which, for those of you that don't know, is basically a rule set that people try to abide by in retail to make the game feel as classic or as vanilla-like as possible. It's basically a lame attempt to try and get that version of Classic back. And I played in several of those, and that was all I could basically do. And it was a struggle, actually, for me to turn the stream on, as much as I loved talking with chat and stuff like that. But forcing myself to play a game that I didn't like was really kind of a struggle. But I pushed through it. I didn't really take a lot of time off. There was, I think, one period around Christmas where I took some time off. But pretty much I was streaming 3, 4, 5 nights a week and kind of pushed through it. And then they made the announcement that Classic was going to be launched in August of 2019, and I was excited as fuck. I mean, I had gone to BlizzCon the year before and met a whole bunch of people. SFON, tips, stay safe. They offered me a ticket very kind of last minute, so I was able to go. And I remember meeting everybody and how excited we were. I remember walking in when BlizzCon opened. We had no idea this was happening, but we walked in and there was row after row after row of computers lined up on to allow people to play the demo version. And I remember sitting beside Tips Out and it was almost like two grown men were about ready to cry. And I remember leaning over to him and saying, "Dude, there's no lag." Like, because we played on private servers where it was laggy all the time, and it was amazing to be able to run around and there was no lag at all. So we were just, it was like two kids, the morning of Christmas or something like that, or their birthday. We were so excited. Anyways, had a blast at BlizzCon, met a bunch of people, and not too long afterwards, Tips started creating the idea for his guild home, and a bunch of us were going to be. I should kill them. I'm doing a video right now, but those are probably bots. Anyways, um, he started to create a guild called Home, and I'd talk to people about what I wanted to see in a guild. I wanted to see a guild that was extremely tight knit. It was kind of like if you fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of us type of thing. If one of our guild members was being camped by 3 or 4 people, there's no question that your guild should be responding in force, and then in punishing that guild every time you see them afterwards, or whoever those people are. And Tips was wanting to do that with his guild, and then they also wanted to compete for server first at the very least. And was everything that I'd hoped for. And for whatever reason, everything was going well. We had guild meetings about the plans and all that sort of stuff. But for whatever reason, it seems like just a few days before launch, or a week or so before launch, suddenly we were told out of the blue that we were going to be merging with another group of players, and I never really found out why. Until I think recently, I was told that it had something to do with Tips being a member of Method, and that if he was going to be creating a guild, that it should be a guild for Method or something like that. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyways, we were merged into another guild, and it was a different guild leader. And everything seemed to be okay. They didn't do as much world PvP as I'd hoped, but it seemed to be okay. And I got into a raid group, and we were clearing molten core and stuff like that. And then the next BlizzCon happened, and suddenly out of the blue, I got a message from somebody on Discord who told me that everybody was leaving. A bunch of idiots. This is the name of the new guild that had been formed, and everybody was going to be leaving, and they were going to be forming a new guild called Aftershock, and it was basically everybody that I knew was going there, save for a couple of people. And I didn't know what was going on, but I saw that a lot of my friends were going there, so I moved over there with them, and I had a lot of good times with Aftershock, a lot of really good people. Maybe a little bit different philosophy in the guild than what I was looking for, though. I was looking for a lot more world PvP and focused on the guild being close and tight-knit and coming together to help people in with world PvP and stuff. And that just wasn't really there, unfortunately. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just like playing the game different than I do, and they have their reasons for playing the game they want. It was a very PvE focused guild with a lot of really good players in it, and I was looking for something else. And before Classic had launched, I'd made a commitment. I really wanted to commit to clearing all the content through vanilla, or through Classic, not only Classic vanilla, but also TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, because I'd never really done any of it. I'd cleared Molten Core before, but got partway through BWL, but that was basically about it. And I was so focused on PvP back in the day that I never really got into raiding, and it was something that throughout all of retail I always look back at and felt, man, I wish I would have done some of those old raids way back in the day. So when I was given the opportunity, there was no way I was not going to do that. But another thing that I really wanted to do was do a lot of the stuff that you saw on the private servers, and that was focus on world PvP, or have a heavy focus on world PvP. And I just wasn't able to get that really done when I was playing on Fairlina. And I started a stream one night, not with any really intention of doing so, but I kind of joked that, I kind of said something along the lines of, what would be really fun is if we made a guild, or just had a group of people that went over to one of these faction imbalance servers, that was like 99% one faction, and just played on the other faction and just raised as much hell as we could. And there was a lot of excitement. A lot of people in the stream were like, yeah, that would be awesome. Let's do that. Let's do that. And we thought we were going to have to play Alliance because and I love playing Horde, but we thought we were going to have to play Alliance because we didn't know of any servers that were imbalanced in the Alliance's favor until somebody pointed out Heartseeker to us. So we looked it up, and sure enough, it was like 98% Alliance. And immediately on stream, I was like, all right, that's where we're going. So there was a group of us that started there. I want to say there was, maybe 10 or so of us, 15 of us, maybe the first night. Within about an hour, we had our guild started, and we were off and running. And I can say right now that my time with Tyrants on Heartseeker was, it was the toughest, but it was by far the most fun. And by toughest, I mean it's tough running a guild. Especially in those circumstances. But it was by far the most fun that I ever had. So for any of you guys that played with me on in Tyrants, whether we still talk or not, I just want to let you know that those were by far my fondest memories in Classic WoW. That we did so many things people said we would never be able to accomplish. People said we would never be able to get to 60. People said that we would never be able to raid. We did all of that. And we were so close, and I wish I could have done more, but we were so close to having a full 40-man group like every week, but we always fell just a few people short where we couldn't keep pushing through content until, we could have had more people. And that kind of, compounded with the fact that Shadowlands and Nax came out basically at the same time. We just lost, suddenly at one point we lost too many people, and we were only able to get like 30 people in for a raid, and it was becoming quite clear we were not going to be able to clear all the raiding content. And I'd already cleared Nax quite early with Aftershock on Farlina. I was basically raid logging with them once a week, and I felt bad because I knew there were several people in Tyrants that really, really wanted to clear Nax as well, and they weren't going to be given the opportunity on Farlina, or on Heartseeker. And so I made the tough decision, and I hope those of you that were mad at me at the time understand where I'm coming from. I did not want Tyrants to be the reason why people were not able to clear Nax. There were some people in the guild that would just not go do this, and it was like a long-term goal of theirs, but they weren't going to leave the guild to be able to clear Nax. So I kind of made the tough decision to kind of cut everybody loose, with the idea that, hey, we can always reform Tyrants sometime down the road, and I'll get to that a little bit later on what's going on with Tyrants. And we all a lot of us kind of went our separate ways. The invitation was open to anyone who wanted to come over to Farlina, to come over and play in the guild that I was playing in, to give them that opportunity. And several of them, there was a few that took up that opportunity, and then there was others that went their own separate ways. And I don't know if they were able to ever clear Nax or not, so I hope that they were able to. But that brings me back to playing on Farlina. I got through Nax. I don't know how many times I cleared Nax. TBC was announced. It was a foregone conclusion that TBC was going to come out, just same as Wrath of the Lich King. We all know it's coming out. And I got to a point where I was basically done playing. I was done raiding. I didn't want to raid anymore. I'd gone through Nax I don't know how many times, like dozens and dozens of times anyways. It wasn't important for me to have full tier 3. I just wanted to be able to clear Nax and get through all the raiding content, and I did do that. So that brings me kind of to where we're at now. I'm moving into TBC. I'm still playing on Farlina. I'm playing with a guild called Wicked. and it's it's a guild much maybe like the ideals of home, where it's a lot of really good players, a lot of really good players. I got a lot to learn, I know that. But I'm hoping that it's a little bit more PvP focused. I believe it will be. The leadership are all people that love PvP. And as for myself, I plan on doing world PvP as well. I do want to do raiding. I want to clear all the content, of course. I want to do arenas and battlegrounds, but I also want to do world PvP. So my focus right now is to obviously get to 70, get a tune for Karazhan. But very quickly, I want to start a world PvP group on Faralina. And I've already talked to people on stream about this. I want to be going around and going after the Alliance, basically. It's 60%, 40% in favor of Alliance on this server, so I think it's a perfect ratio for us to be able to start a raid nightly, perhaps, where we're going around and just being dicks, basically. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to take the fight to people in world PvP. And in arenas and in battlegrounds and stuff like that. So people say there's no world PvP in TBC, and that's a load of crap. I've been in even in TBC. I've been in a lot of world PvP. There's just not the raid on raid PvP quite so often, where you're sapper charging people and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people out in the world, so I'll be looking to do a lot of that. If you're playing on Faralina, you're more than welcome to join us. I'll be starting a group. It's not necessarily just for people in my guild, basically for people that want to come out and fight for the Horde side. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to do that. And that kind of brings me back to Tyrants. When we kind of disbanded Tyrants, the thought was that, hey, maybe we could get this back together when TBC launches. And I would love to have been able to do that. When I kind of proposed the question, I didn't want to be the only person kind of in leadership. I wanted there to be other people that were taking on officer roles and, a raid leader and stuff like that. And when it came to finding those individuals, there weren't enough from the original group of Tyrants that really want to continue on doing that or continue on in an officer. Several of them aren't even playing on Faralina. And so it got to the point where, without a raid leader, I definitely wasn't going to start Tyrants without a true raid leader. And I wanted one that was like actually known as a good raid leader and had the patience to get people, give people guidance to get through the raiding content in TBC. And I couldn't find anyone. And so I made the decision that for now, Tyrants is just going to be something that maybe we think about doing in the future. If things change, then who knows what'll happen. Maybe suddenly there'll be a renewed interest, and maybe Tyrants will be reborn in TBC. I'll never say never. Tyrants was a special guild for me. I really enjoyed a lot of the people that we played with. It would be kind of cool to play with those people again, or people of like mind. But who knows? I do think that there's going to be fresh classic servers again at some point in the future. And I definitely plan on playing there. Whether we start Tyrants there again or not, we'll have to see. But I definitely do plan on playing. On fresh. I'll be going back to playing Mage there for sure, no doubt. And I'd really look forward to playing there. So, anyways. I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite area in all of Classic WoW. People keep asking me, where's your favorite zone? Where's your favorite zone? Blackrock Mountain. I've got so many memories here from world PvP and raiding and stuff like that. I absolutely love this area. This whole inner part of this cave. I love it. Anyways, that kind of brings me to the end of the video, guys. I just kind of wanted to have a recount of everything that I did. I'll look back with, on some of the fond memories that we had, going all the way back from when we started, before we even knew that Classic was going to be a thing, and then going through to when we found out how excited we were, all the plans everybody had made beforehand, whether they turned out or not. I just wanted to kind of reminisce a little bit about my adventures, and I don't know, maybe it's something that I can look back at and listen to myself in a year's time or 10 years time or something like that, of all the fond memories and that I have in Classic WoW, all the memories of all the people that I met in Classic WoW. There's a lot of people that I have just some amazingly fond memories of. A lot of people that I didn't know before Classic WoW. There's a lot of you out there that maybe a lot of you are watching this video that I've met since Classic started, and you're the people that made this game a lot of fun for me, whether it was through stream or in game or what have you. That's just the way vanilla is, and that's, I think, why it's it's so great of a game, and it's why it's still, even with TBC, vanilla is still my favorite version of the game because of the community and how people are encouraged to work together as opposed to LFG, LFR, and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, I'm looking forward to TBC, but I am definitely looking forward to having another run through Classic Vanilla on a fresh server. So if you are as well, hopefully we'll see you there. If you like this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm as well as a sub. If you want to talk to me more about vanilla or Classic WoW or TBC, feel free to stop by my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Alodar. Be more than happy to chat with you guys about anything to do with Classic Vanilla or Classic TBC. Hope to see you around, and have a good day.